I almost dropped my phone when Charles Hoskinson casually mentioned a $23 million secret on a late night AMA. Seriously, 1 minute I'm half listening to Cardano's founder talk shop, the next he's dropping a $23 million bombshell like it's no big deal, and hinting at one of the biggest crypto airdrops ever. Now, you know what I did here. I double take, I go, wait, what did he just say? And here's the scene, right? It's way past my bedtime. I'm scrolling and suddenly I stumble on Charles Hoskinson doing a surprise Ask Me Anything. I figured, all right, I'll tune in for a few minutes. I hear some Cardano updates, nothing too crazy. Like, boy, was I wrong. Charles starts talking about how $23 million has been spent supporting Cardano's native tokens. And I'm instantly kind of wide awake here. $23 million on what exactly? So my curiosity kind of goes through the roof, right? And then he casually drops that Midnight, Cardano's so-called partner chain, is gearing up for an absolute massive airdrop. So at this point, I'm on the edge of my seat thinking, okay, there's a story here and I need to know all of it. So of course I end up kind of watching the whole AMA like it was a thriller movie, and trust me, it did not disappoint. By the end of it, I kind of felt like I had uncovered Cardano's next big move, something huge that's been quietly in the works. So let me kind of take you through what actually happened, because if you're into Cardano or crypto at all, this is the kind of roller coaster that you don't want to miss. So first off, let's talk about that $23 million that Charles said was roughly, $23 million has been kind of poured into supporting projects building on Cardano. All of those native tokens and ecosystem kind of goodies. Now that number kind of floored me a little bit. It's kind of like finding out a friend secretly invested a fortune in building a treehouse in your backyard. It shows serious backing for the Cardano ecosystem. And get this, Charles bought it up to, squash some of the rumors that have been going around. So apparently some people were claiming that Midnight, that's Cardano's, I guess, offshoot project, is, doing its own thing separately. He was kind of like, nope, not true at all. They designed Midnight to actually work within Cardano, not as some kind of independent chain off in La La Land. In other words, Cardano and Midnight are a package deal, not something to be mistaken for, something sidelined, right? So take note here, haters. As someone who's kind of followed Cardano, I found that rather reassuring. It's all part of the family, and all working together. Now, what exactly is Midnight? So most of you watching probably already know this, but I'm just going to say it anyway because there might be someone new in the audience. Midnight is basically Cardano's partner chain. So think of it as Cardano's sibling that focuses on data protection and privacy. Kind of like how the kind of stealthy ninja sidekick to Ada, right? And according to Charles, Midnight is about to host one of the largest airdrops. In fact, it's kind of already going on right now. At least it's the biggest one in crypto's history. And yeah, you heard that right. It's the largest airdrop in crypto history. So even coming from Charles, that was a rather bold claim, right? So I sat up, real quick, and as I kind of heard it, he shared some jaw-dropping stats here. Over 70,000 users have already jumped in and redeemed $1.6 billion worth of Night tokens across, supported blockchains. And that was billion with a B. Just get that in your head there. And I mean, I remember when airdrops used to be like a few thousand people and maybe, a couple of million tokens if you were lucky. But 70,000 people grabbing $1.6 billion in tokens. That's on another level. So my jaw was kind of hanging there somewhere near the floor, and I was thinking to myself, did I miss the memo on this? I did not. But how did so many people actually get in on Midnight already, right? Well, there's a lot of information out there, but not everyone is in just yet. I hold in mind a lot of my assets on Ledger, and I'm still waiting for that fix so that I can claim mine. So here's how Charles kind of explained things though, right? the distribution of these night tokens isn't just a simple click, claim, and you're done. No, no, no. They made it an experience. It's a multi-layered process, part redemption program, part scavenger hunt, and then a final big token release. And I kid you not, they actually turned an airdrop into a scavenger hunt. That's the kind of crypto adventure that, let's face it, I live for. Specifically after I just came back traveling across Europe to unlock a $10,000 crypto wallet. Now, it's kind of like the Willy Wonka golden ticket hunt then, but for blockchain tokens. Now, Charles, said that this whole initiative is expected to surpass previous large airdrops with people from multiple ecosystems participating. It's not just Cardano loyalists, it's people from across the crypto world all diving in. Now, I could practically feel the FOMO creeping up. I mean, a lot, right? And treasure hunt for crypto riches? Sign me up, right? It's the kind of thing that has Telegram groups and Discord servers buzzing for weeks on end. In fact, our free educational Discord server, you bet people have been swapping theories and clues about this midnight drop. Now, I was late to the party, unfortunately, but by the time I realized how big it was, over 70,000 people had already bagged their night tokens. Classic me, hearing about the biggest airdrop ever just a little bit later than maybe others. But to be fair, I was over in New York with the Midnight Crew just a few weeks ago, getting the big scoop directly from those guys. So if you're not in the Discord, you're missing out on all of the juicy details. But hey, I'm here talking to you guys about it now on this channel of all channels. So, as if, a record-sized airdrop wasn't enough excitement, Charles also decided to spill some tea here. And by tea, I mean calling out Cardano Foundation hard. Now, this kind of caught me off guard a little bit. One moment he's kind of hyping Midnight, the next he's basically saying, oh, by the way, the Cardano Foundation hasn't really been pulling its weight. Oof. Now, according to Charles, the foundation failed to provide any meaningful support to the project. He even accused them of mismanaging the ADA funds and flat out said they don't deserve any of those sweet Midnight tokens. Like 0 tokens for you guys. I was like, damn, Charles, don't hold back now, right? You could kind of feel the frustration that was there. Now, he didn't stop at that either. He warned that if the foundation tries to insert itself into Cardano's governance, it might actually hurt productivity. Essentially, he suggested that the Cardano ecosystem has been moving towards, at least forwards, without the foundation's help, and might actually be better off continuing that way. So as a Cardano fan, that was a bit wild to hear. Usually you think of your project's foundation as out there kind of championing the cause, but here we have Charles implying that the community and the developers are carrying Cardano forward while the foundation kind of just twiddles its thumbs, I guess. It's a bit of drama, no doubt. I'm not, taking sides here, just kind of a guy with popcorn watching from the sidelines. But it's telling that Charles felt the need to air that publicly, right? It kind of shows there's some real tension behind the scenes there. And honestly, part of me was, at least anticipates the kind of candor. Now it's, actually appreciates the candor, I should say. It's kind of like a family argument that finally kind of blows up at Thanksgiving dinner. It's awkward, yes, but once it's in the open, maybe things can actually improve. So after kind of dropping that bombshell, Charles kind of switched gears a little bit, right? Back to positive developments, and he announced a new partnership that kind of perked me right up. Cardano is teaming up with a digital asset custodian called 𝗗𝗶𝘀. Now, if you're not familiar, 𝗗𝗶𝘀 is basically a service, at least services a lot of exchanges use to safely kind of hold crypto assets, right? So why does this even matter for Cardano? Well, it's because with this partnership, any exchange that uses 𝗗𝗶𝘀's custody services can now support Cardano-based assets, including Midnight's tokens, much more easily than it ever could do in the past. So in plain English here, this could open a door, or the door, I should say, for a bunch of exchanges to actually list Cardano tokens that maybe didn't or couldn't before. And that's a big deal for accessibility. So let's think about this. One reason that some coins struggle is that not enough exchanges actually support it. And if 𝗗𝗶𝘀 makes it kind of plug and play for exchanges to handle ADA and friends like, like that, kind of giving Cardano maybe a VIP pass to the club, well, that's more places to trade, means more adoption, which means more liquidity and more eyeballs on the projects. So as someone who's kind of always been hunting for good trading platforms, I love to see it. Now, by the way, if you do love to trade, I personally use the 𝗗𝗀𝘀 exchange. And yes, full disclosure, I've got an affiliate link that's in the description for 𝗗𝗀𝘀, which supports the channel and no extra cost to yourself. Now, you've got to keep the lights on here and the coffee flowing, right? In all seriousness, though, right, the broader exchange support can actually only help people like us who kind of get, at least can get hold of and trade these native Cardano tokens, so Cardano ADA and even Midnight tokens. So what's cool here is that 𝗗𝗶𝘀, the 𝗗𝗶 deal, isn't happening, in isolation. Charles actually pointed out that it builds on earlier agreements that they've struck with Bitcoin.com, blockchain.com, and Brave. So Cardano's been busy making, well, friends, right? You've got Bitcoin.com, that's the big kind of crypto platform. You've got blockchain.com, one of the original wallet providers with something like 37 million users. How many of those are actually active now will be significantly lower. I'd probably, again, divide it by 10, probably 3.7 million, based on on-chain activity, right? Because you can see that there's like over 50 million Bitcoin wallets, but really most of them hold no real Bitcoin at all, right? So it's great to have big flashy numbers like 37 million users, but let's be real about it. It's probably something like 3 to 4 million. Still big numbers, but not quite the 37 million, let's face it. But it is what it is, right? Every platform does this. But if you take a look at on-chain activity, you get a much better idea as to how many users are actually out there. Anyway, but yeah, original kind of wallet provider, right? 37 million users. And they can, of course, because these wallets exist, if people still have access to them, they can now have access to Cardano and even Brave, the browser with its own crypto angle, all on this, right? And I remember when I heard about Cardano, integrating with blockchain.com's wallet, and that was a huge deal. Suddenly, the potential for tens of millions of people to see ADA options pop up in a wallet they already use. Now, Charles actually kind of gave credit to the Midnight Foundation for securing that blockchain.com deal. You got to hand it to the Midnight team there. They've been hustling behind the scenes. It's kind of like Cardano sent its kind of stealth ninja, Midnight, to go broker alliances, while the main team focuses on building. So by this point in the AMA, I'm kind of thinking, all right, so we've got major funding, we've got internal drama, a giant airdrop, and big exchange partnerships. That's plenty of news for just one day, right? Whew. But no, Charles had one more. And this one really kind of put a goofy grin on my face. That was cross-chain collaborations. Yes, if you've been in the crypto space for a while, you know that the communities can be a little bit tribal. Now, you don't often kind of hear leaders talking about teaming up with rival blockchains, yet here Charles was, been kind of having conversations with Solana's, Anatoly Yakovenko, Near's, Lila. You've got people from XRP working together as well. And yeah, Cardano and Solana on the same page. Who would have thought? Cardano and XRP high-fiving each other. Is this part of where pigs are flying, maybe? I'm half kind of expecting to see Vitalik join the chat next, and for all of their team to maybe come and sing some kind of song together. But jokes aside, this is pretty significant, right? Charles is basically just emphasizing cross-chain partnerships, signals a big shift from the old one chain to rule them all kind of golem scenarios and mentality. It's kind of more like, let's build bridges. And honestly, it's kind of smart. The crypto space is huge, and no one chain can actually do absolutely everything perfectly, right? Cardano teaming up with others could just mean sharing tech, tapping into each other's communities, maybe even co-hosting events. In fact, Charles teased that they might actually organize some joint community events with these other blockchain groups down the line. You can imagine, of course, a Cardano Solana XRP meetup, right? That's one spicy mix of people in the same room. I'd definitely pay to be a fly on the wall there, just to see all of the memes and, of course, the friendly jabs around the table. Oh, and here's the kicker. That really shows how serious Charles really is, right? Because Charles said that by the end of the year, Cardano's Lace wallet will have support for XRP. And yeah, you could manage your XRP right from Cardano's official wallet. And my eyes kind of widened at that one. Right? If you had told me a year ago that Cardano, would be actively supporting XRP in its kind of flagship wallet, then I would have kind of chuckled and said, I'll believe it when I see it. Well, now I've heard it straight from the horse's mouth. This year, apparently, it's happening. It's a big deal. It's a big olive branch for the XRP community and a sign that Cardano is getting serious about being interoperable. So at this moment in the AMA, it kind of just hit me like a ton of bricks in a good way. This was the key moment, the climax of the whole story for me. Charles wasn't just rattling off some isolated updates. He was painting a picture of Cardano's future where it's not just an island, but a central player in a connected crypto universe. We're talking funding ecosystems, growth launching new tech, right? Midnight, that is, with huge community engagement, cutting out the dead weight, expanding into more exchanges and wallets, and even buddying up with other blockchains. That's a heck of a narrative. Now, this one might just shock you, but I'm not a financial advisor and nothing in this video is financial advice. Cryptocurrencies are highly volatile and you could lose all of the money that you invest. You should always do your own research and consult a qualified professional. After all, your investments are entirely your responsibility and you should know that nothing is ever guaranteed when it comes to investing. Neither I, this channel, nor YouTube are liable for any losses, and this video today is for entertainment and educational purposes only. So, what do I make of all of this then? Well, honestly, I'm feeling really kind of encouraged right now. Right? I've followed Cardano for years through the hype waves and the quiet building phases, and this little late night AMA adventure made me realize something big. Cardano is quietly kicking into high gear on multiple different fronts. $23 million of support to projects in its ecosystem. That tells me there's serious firepower fueling development, even if we don't always see it on the surface. The Midnight project is not just some kind of side gig, it's deeply intertwined with Cardano and it's thriving. I mean, that airdrop alone shows how much excitement is bubbling under the surface. 70,000 people from different chains all claiming for a piece of Night. That is huge. And it's kind of like a sneak preview of how Cardano can attract users beyond its own bubble by doing things differently. And then there's the somewhat juicy part. Charles calling out the foundation, right? It might sound negative, but here's my take. It shows that Cardano's leadership and community have zero intention of slowing down. Even if the official foundation isn't keeping up, they'll find a way, foundation or not. In a weird kind of way, that's positive. It means this ecosystem is driven by builders and believers at the grassroots level, not by some kind of bureaucratic entity. As a kind of hopeful believer myself, that kind of fires me up. Cardano has always had a passionate community, and seeing Charles basically say we've moved forward without them is a testament to that community's strength. Now, the partnership with 𝗗𝗶𝘀𝗰 and the slew of exchanges, in these integrations, tells me that Cardano is doing things right, and it's done being kind of a well-kept secret. It wants to be everywhere, every exchange, every wallet, you name it, and the cross-chain talk, well, that's the cherry on top. It signals a future where Cardano might not only succeed on its own merits, but also amplify reach by working with others. I think that's a winning kind of mindset in crypto these days. Maximalism is out and collaboration is in. Who knows, maybe one day you'll have Cardano, Ethereum, Solana, XRP all interoperating seamlessly, and we'll look back and say this AMA was one of those moments that it all kind of started coming together. In the end, I'm just glad that I didn't click away from that AMA. What started as a casual kind of listen in the background turned into one of the most interesting Cardano infos, at least info dumps, I should say, and I've seen a long time in crypto. It kind of felt like going on a little adventure where there were surprises, a little bit of drama, and satisfying payoff at the end. And I knew that I had to share it with all of you guys, because it's not every day that you get a peek into a crypto project pulling strings behind the curtain. And I guess the takeaway is this: don't sleep on these surprise update crypto moves. fast, and sometimes a quiet AMA at midnight, how fitting, can reveal the rather next big chapter of a project that you love. I, for one, am more excited than ever to see what Cardano at midnight do next. If $23 million and a historic airdrop are just the start, imagine what's coming down the line. As always, I'm going to be keeping my eyes and ears open, hopefully for a little less coffee spilling next time, but no promises. So for now, you can hit that like button, subscribe for more in-depth crypto breakdowns, and I'll catch you all in the next one.